you're a wrestling mark like Dave and myself are, and I know Steve Lima is, and Omar out there who listens to it, we have such good, great platinum listeners that are wrestling marks out there. There's only, I mean, there's a lot, and we're always going to love learning and watching the golden Hulk Hogan, 1980s WrestleMania years. We're always going to love the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. We're always, you know, all that shit is the tippity. It's the and we can talk about it all day long. But at a certain point in life, as a wrestling mark, if you really love the business, you really love the sport, you start going backwards because it's the only place to delve into new material is to go into wrestling history's past. And in the last probably 5 to 10 years, I'd say 10 years, the amount of just going back into the history of wrestling and just marking the out for certain individuals that a lot of you out there would have, some of you like when we talk about Rick Rude or Vader, and I can get you, but when we go into the history, I mark out about Gorgeous George at this point. I mark out about Buddy Rogers. I mark out about Bruno Sammartino. And I sure as mark out about Harley Race. Well, that all happened in the last 10 years. And it's not because they did some spectacular promo work lately or they put a match on TV or they did. No, it was just as a wrestling mark. You're like, shit, I want better material to get into than I currently have. So you start going backwards. I think it's for a film lover. You start looking at, maybe Rock Hudson films or Humphrey Bogart films or Frank Capra films or whatever, Rita Hayworth shit. You just go back in time, Spencer Tracy and shit. You want more than what's presented in the now. And Harley when I started down that Harley Race rabbit hole, oh my God, it just got better and better and better and better and better. So, Harley Race and Bruno Sammartino of the era they're in is just, as good as it gets in their respective territories.
Well, do you mind if I take a very brief moment to pull the curtain back a little bit for the dozens? That it was actually because of RoboCop's prestigious WCW career that prompted Jason to want to do the retrospective on the film and Paul Verhoeven that we did several weeks ago. That's how much of a historian he truly is of the business and the highest highs that it has reached as an art
No, I
form.
mean, so of course, Dave is as per usual is smarky and full of shit. But I
I'm
can
so
tell you this.
surprised you said that, Jason.
Well, at least you're surprised, Nostradamus. The interesting part about all of this is that it's true. When you're a wrestling mark and you're not getting, you can't to what's happening in the now, you'll start going backwards. You'll start looking for vintage porn. You still Betty Page, whatever you got going on. And it's amazing when you go back in the past how much of wrestling you can mark out to from the past. And the greatest thing about YouTube, there's no shortage of videos now that are out there. It's getting better by the day. I don't know if it's his son. I think it's his son with a group of people who launched the Paul Orndorff YouTube channel.
I think so, yeah.
Holy, there is not just stuff that you can watch that I've never, and I mean never seen on Paul Orndorff. There's stuff that is tangentially that brings in Roddy Piper, Jesse Ventura, Bobby Heenan, primetime wrestling. There's so much shit this channel has opened up for you to explore in that era of wrestling when Paul Orndorff was the badass that Paul Orndorff was. So there we are. Yeah, I mean, it just you go back in time. When you love wrestling or you love a particular thing, whether it's film or whatever, you'll start going backwards if the itch that you need scratched isn't happening in the now.
And I think you could say that really about anything. Like if yeah, well, maybe other forms of quote unquote live sports, maybe not, because a lot of like I'm not sure. I know obviously NFL has its own network, but like I'm not sure how well watched older like football games are. I do think older boxing matches would be watched more if there was or
Oh
more
shit.
readily available.
Yeah. Yeah.
HBO was doing that for a little while, but I don't think they still are because they kind of got out of boxing a while ago. But so I do think that is the same type of thing, whether it be shows or whether it be some sports. I mean, I don't know how many people are watching classic golf outings or something, but any type of medium where there is a story being told, whether that be through
Yeah.
physicality, whether that be through characters, whether that be through a combination of, or comic books or anything like that. I do think that when whatever currently is happening is not suit music as well, when the current stuff is not meeting whatever emotional need that a particular member of the audience has, that very frequently they can still quell that passion by going backwards and finding stuff that speaks to what they love about that particular thing.